Hi, I'm Dorina, co-founder of Quo. You might know us as OpenPhone. My dad is a business owner, and growing up, he always kept his ringtone super loud so he'd never miss a customer call. That stuck with me. When we started Quo, our mission was to help businesses not just stay in touch, but make every customer feel valued, no matter when they might call. Quo gives your team business phone numbers to call and text on your phone or computer. Your calls, messages, and contacts live in one workspace so your team can stay fully aligned and reply faster. And with our AI agent answering 24/7, you'll really never miss a customer. Over 90,000 businesses use Quo. Get 20% off at quo.com/tech. That's quo.com/tech. And we can port your existing numbers over for free. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.
If you're a smoker or vapor ready to make a change, you really only need one good reason. But with Zyn nicotine pouches, you'll discover many good reasons. Zyn is America's #1 nicotine pouch brand. Plus, Zyn offers a robust rewards program. There are lots of options when it comes to nicotine satisfaction, but there's only one Zyn. Check out zyn.com/find to find Zyn at a store near you. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, November 14th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, give you some of the important context around that, and help each other understand.
Today, Andy Beach tells us about an experiment involving an AI friend, and ChatGPT is piloting group chats for select users.
Yeah, speaking of AI friends, I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Win Dow.
Let's start with what you need to know with the big story. OpenAI is piloting group chats in ChatGPT, and this is going to enable users to collaborate in real time inside of a chat instance, essentially. It's like a group chat instance with ChatGPT integrated inside of it. The group chat experience is meant to provide a space for, collective planning, brainstorming, decision-making, whatever you could come up with as a group. Users can start a group chat by inviting up to 20 participants. It's quite a few people in a single chat bot instance, into that chat with a shared link. There are settings to manage group controls like naming and muting notifications, that sort of stuff. And ChatGPT will also keep, importantly, personal memories and histories private and separate from the group chat experience. So you won't have to worry about, your personal chats with ChatGPT. At least they say you won't have to worry about this creeping into the group chat experience. Now, this is a limited pilot for mobile and web users starting in Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, and Taiwan. Feedback from this pilot, of course, will be used to tailor a potential broader rollout. You can imagine this is probably going to go everywhere at some point, and also direct the possible inclusion of additional features down the line. And I think when I first saw the headline and hadn't read up on this, my mind immediately went to going into a standard chatbot, like a ChatGPT instance, and there just being a bunch of people in there all throwing commands at ChatGPT, like, now do this, now do this. And my mind just thought oh my goodness, that sounds messy and everything. But really what this is, it's just like a group chat with ChatGPT integration, the way a lot of other companies have kind of done. Google's done this, Microsoft's done this, Slack has AI integrated into chat. So I don't know. To my mind, it's not a whole lot different from what we've seen before. What are you thinking?
I think I can see places where this would be really valuable. And I have been on many, 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 many Zoom calls, meet calls where it's meant to be like a retrospective, or we're like triaging issues, or we're talking about, okay, let's plan for stuff. And I could actually see where a bot that maybe is able to, I don't know, take polls, take notes, be able to, and again, I always caution about like the fidelity or the accuracy of things that are brought up by ChatGPT, but in a kind of collaborative space where you're just brainstorming, it might be nice to have a assistant to help manage and facilitate some of that stuff, or maybe even generate questions that people, I think that's one of those things, like often like group discussions, there's a lot of the people side, but then also kind of like knowing how to prompt people or knowing how to like keep a conversation going. And I actually could see like a ChatGPT or some kind of conversational assistant having some utility there, because I'll tell you, like, not all of us are good at like keeping a group of 20 people talking productively about a certain thing. So there might be some benefit there to the conversational strength of ChatGPT. I do worry sometimes, just because as we know, and they've improved this, that ChatGPT tends to be a little more what's a positive word of saying placating, but like, it tends to want to make you happy.
Yeah.
And so I suppose just the caveat of that, but then extended to a group of people, and then warnings about echo chambers, like echo chambers, something like that. But I do think that there's room for this. And again, they seem to be kind of forward thinking about, privacy and delineating like personal history and data in a sense from group data. I don't know. What do you think, Jason? Would you use this for I don't know.
Well, like when I think about this, like I said, my vision of what it was before, arguably before I read a single word about it other than the headline, was wildly different from what I finally realized it was after reading through it. When I read through it and really kind of understood what they're going for here, like I said, it just reminds me of, Google Chat integrates Gemini into group chats. Microsoft Teams has Copilot and Teams mode. So you've got that. Slack has its own AI assistants, including its own, that can be integrated into the chat, the chats happening inside of that software. So I think two things come to mind to me. One, I'm not really using these features in that way on the things that already exist. So I'd be really curious if I would use this in a group setting. And two, like with ChatGPT, it's not to say that I don't use ChatGPT. I use it a lot, but I don't use it, in that kind of mindset or paradigm. And so that would be a little bit of a switch for me. But along those lines, I think what that points to is ChatGPT becoming more of a collaborative workspace in general, which is something we already give credit for to apps like Slack and, the Google suite of products, and Microsoft has it all. There's a lot of already there collaborative kind of aspects to their products. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen a whole lot of that from ChatGPT. It really has. I mean, yes, you can buy team plans and everything, but is there a whole lot of collaborative stuff happening in ChatGPT? And you got to start somewhere, I suppose. But does this signal a bigger push for OpenAI really kind of starting to get into that side of business and enterprise use and everything too? I think we might be looking at that.
It sort of reminds me a little bit about we talked about last week about Sora, and how that's a very interesting social creative outlet for, open AI to explore. And maybe this is just sort of adjacent to that. But I agree. I think it's so funny because we've really been it's like the world of assistants and chatbots. And so they've had us talking to a bot, like just one-on-one talking to a bot for a couple of years now. I guess it makes sense to bring a few more people in the room and then see what happens with the collaboration side of it. I do think that's really interesting. I wonder if there's some kind of like weird extension here where, I think that there's a concern that if we keep just talking to our bots, or, have like agents do all of our talking for us, there's like, some your mileage might vary on how serious you think this is about the social skills of the society at large going down. Maybe this is like a way to do like speed dating with like ChatGPT. You do a big group chat, and then you have like the assistant kind of facilitate like connections and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just thinking, trying to like make up for the gaps that maybe too much of this assistant bot talking has for us.
Speed dating with ChatGPT. That's a whole other thing I never thought I'd think about, but there we go.
Well, it's like, hey, Mary, you should meet Sally. She likes horses and I don't know, macrame. And
ChatGPT, tell me what we both like. tell me how we have things in common, please.
ChatGPT, tell us what we should talk about right now to make this
what should we talk about? Where do our interests collide?
I think it makes a lot of sense. It obviously, we have no idea where this is going, but I mean, with all the other collaborative tools out there, it's not surprising that OpenAI wants to stick the fingers in it.
Yeah, well, and one of the things that I wondered is like, how integrated is a ChatGPT chatbot into a group chat setting? And just so you know kind of how that works, my understanding is you include ChatGPT in your message, and then it knows to kind of listen up. Although I think it's also, it's gathering the context of the chat regardless of whether you include its name. But if you want it to respond and integrate into, provide an answer for something or summarize or whatever, you have to explicitly call on it. Otherwise, it kind of takes a step back. And that's what just kind of makes this, I mean, it's a standard like group chat environment with ChatGPT summonable if you decide to pull it in. That's my understanding anyways. And yeah, I'm curious to see how it all works once, it potentially broadens out to more regions.
Yeah, absolutely.
When that happens.
I'd be curious to try it just to see what it's like in collaborative spaces. So
for sure.
Well, we like to think of this as a big collaboration between us, your host, and you, the listener, because DTNS is made possible by you guys. We want to take the time to thank Philip Shane, Paul Boyer, D. Lacer, and thank Sherry for a raise. Thank you.
You shouldn't have, Sherry, except that you should, maybe not should, but thank you for doing
thank
that.
You.
As a small business owner, you don't have the luxury of clocking out early. Your business is on your mind 24/7. So when you're hiring, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates that you can manage, all in one place. With LinkedIn's new tools, you can write great job descriptions and quickly get your post in front of the right people using deep candidate insights. You can either post your job for free or pay to promote it. Promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified applicants. At the end of the day, what matters most is the quality of your candidates. 72% of small businesses using LinkedIn say it helps them find high-quality hires. And you can boost your reach by adding a hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to get twice as many qualified candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DTNS. That's linkedin.com/DTNS. Terms and conditions apply.
The next evolution in football storytelling, Football Manager, is back in our lives. Made with the Unity engine for the first time, Football Manager 26 refreshes the managerial experience and sets the stage for you to define your football destiny. I still remember that one save where my non-league squad went all the way to the Champions League final. It was pure heartbreak in extra time, but that's the magic of FM. Every decision, every tactic, every touch of the ball tells your story. Experience the richest match days in series history, complete with enhanced player movement, the full Premier League license, and for the first time ever, the women's game. Thank you to the great friends at Sports Interactive, the great team behind FM26, which is now out worldwide across platforms. Step into the dugout and change the game.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday, because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. Like, Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day. Yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key. And that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a smoker or vapor ready to make a change, you really only need one good reason. But with Zyn nicotine pouches, you'll discover many good reasons. Zyn is America's #1 nicotine pouch brand. Plus, Zyn offers a robust rewards program. There are lots of options when it comes to nicotine satisfaction, but there's only one Zyn. Check out zyn.com/find to find Zyn at a store near you. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
There's more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs.
Well, Meta will launch third-party chat integration with WhatsApp in Europe over the next few months, a move that is now required thanks to the Digital Markets Act. Birdie Chat and Hikit will be the first to connect, but all third-party services must maintain WhatsApp's. Oh my goodness.
That's hard to say. I know.
WhatsApp's end-to-end encryption implementation. Users with WhatsApp accounts registered in DMA regions can opt in from the settings tab on both iOS and Android. Once in, that integration will allow text, photos, videos, voice messages, and documents to be shared. And Meta plans to notify users each time a new service is added, which makes sense.
Yeah, Meta, going one step further, I suppose, to be like, see, we're playing nice with everyone else. We'll let them know when a new service is added. I don't know. It sounds like a handy feature that I hope comes to more places. I thought this was funny, maybe not funny, but interesting. Meta does warn that third-party apps, quote, might handle your data differently. And, Meta isn't necessarily a saint in that area. So they're like, I don't know if you want to trust them with your data. It's like, well, you're Meta though. I'm just saying.
Pot, kettle.
Yeah, right. right. But yeah, I think it's a good feature, and I hope it comes out to more places, even though they're being somewhat compelled to do this, because of the DMA. I always wonder with features like this, like, does it just make sense to just have this as a testing water and just bring it to more places? And I mean, they probably don't want to, but anyway.
Third-party, integrations, I feel like whenever you have a platform of any kind, third-party integrations is probably in the top 2 to 3 features that people will eventually want if you are lucky enough to stick around. So it only makes sense. Thank you, Meta, for playing by the rules for now.
Yeah. Thank you so much for playing by the rules. Google is developing a new feature for Android devices called, well, at least right now, called either Gesture Exchange or Contact Exchange, that will enable users to more easily share contact details with other users using NFC. Users will be able to select what to share, so, photos, phone numbers, emails, that sort of stuff. And then on the receiving end, the receiving user will have to explicitly trigger to choose to receive those details on their phone. It's unclear if NFC will be used strictly for connecting the two devices, for like making the sync up, or if it's also going to be used for transferring that shared data between them. These details were, by the way, discovered in an APK teardown by Android Authority. The branding that they have in place, that Gesture Exchange or Contact Exchange, neither of those names is like setting my world on fire. Could be a placeholder. Maybe they'll come up with a better name, because I thought iOS has a great name for this. I think it's a fantastic name drop. I feel like that tells you exactly what it is. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a definite like cool factor to name drop. Gesture Exchange or Contact Exchange just makes me think it's a Microsoft feature or something.
Right.
Okay, we've been in the Android game for a long time. Did this story give you a little bit of like, I don't know, nostalgia or something? Because I feel like this was like one of the first things my husband, who was the person who got me using Android phones, like showed off to me on his Nexus something. But maybe this is like a sexier version of it.
What was it called then? Because I vaguely remember, but yeah, we've been around a long time. We've seen a lot of changes. I vaguely remember that.
I guess it didn't really take off, because now we're talking about it again.
Beam? Was it Beam?
Was it Beam?
Or was Beam just file transfer? I think Beam may have been file transfer, but maybe with Beam, there was also contact share. I honestly can't remember it right now.
I swear, although, obviously between me and my husband, we didn't really need to share contacts. So I don't remember. Yes. Galaxy Nexus, Android Beam, easily share contacts, websites, apps, maps, directions, and YouTube videos.
Okay, so more than just contacts. Yeah.
times a flat circle, as we said many times. So, but I mean, to be fair, from like it seems like they're in 2025 they'll have a nicer, sexier, better user experience for it, because I kind of being kind of clunky. But anyway, yes, I had a sense of nostalgia.
Didn't set the world on fire, whatever it was back then, because I think it's gone through 2, 3, or maybe even 4 branding changes. So this might be the 5th.
Not unfamiliar to us in the Android rodeo. Is that a rodeo?
True. Rodeo, sure.
Rodeo. All right. Well, Apple, on the other side of the aisle, updated its app review guidelines to introduce stricter measures to fight copycat apps and misleading branding. So this new rule bans developers from using other companies' icons, brands, and product names in app icons or titles without explicit permission. So this is an update to previous rules that had already discouraged imitation and encouraged developers to, quote, come up with your own ideas. The new section now makes it a bit more concrete what that means. And the change comes after a recent wave of clone apps for high-profile launches like OpenAI Sora 2. This update also includes a number of other changes related to age verification, data sharing with AI, personal data disclosures, and loan app rates, among others.
Yeah. I mean, you are a developer. We talk about that fact all the time, and you've been doing this for quite a while. Have you faced this directly in your own experience that you can talk about? I mean, and does Google have something that compares to this?
Not directly, because usually I think I'm always working at the person to be copied. But to be honest, as like a side project, side hustle person, I think there's non-nefarious reasons you'd want to do this. So the most of the times that we run across this these days is obviously an app that's trying to clone a common one. I got tricked into downloading the wrong ChatGPT, I think, at some point. And those kind of feel a little more not for good reasons. But I also think that there's a cavalcade of, again, talking about third-party integrations and people wanting to kind of create companion apps or features where maybe the primary publisher or developer doesn't do it. I made a lot of companion apps, and I was like, but I want people to know that this is a companion app for this game. It makes sense for me to somehow include the logo there. So that's not necessarily trying to supplant or trick people. It's more just trying to identify a group of users that would connect. So yeah, I think there's a valid use for that. But I mean, maybe that's silly thinking. That was like us 15 years ago, and nowadays there's just a cavalcade or a deluge of fake apps. So I haven't personally, and I imagine these days it's just anecdotally, I feel like this is primarily and probably most usefully as stopping people trying to trick you into downloading them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely welcome that, because I've certainly seen in the App Store, you go there, you're like, oh, is this app on Android? Of course, I'm speaking again from the Android perspective. I don't have an iOS device myself, but go in there like, oh, is this app finally out for Android? And you go and you see something like, yay, and then you realize, no, it's just people, trying to trick you. And I don't like that. I don't like being tricked.
Nah.
How about instead of a trick, I give you a treat? Retro Games Ltd. Retro Games Limited has officially opened pre-orders for the 1200, or the A1200, as in the Amiga 1200, a full-size Amiga 1200 replica that is sure to tug on the heartstrings of retro computing fans all over the world. It mimics the original's design. It's packing an ARM CPU running Linux and a custom Amaberry emulator. It includes 25 licensed games, so you're going to get Defender of the Crown, which is a fantastic old game, Turrican Trilogy, Rough and Tumble, just to name a few. The unit includes a fully functional keyboard that looks pretty much identical to the original, USB ports, HDMI out, of course, you can plug it into your big screen, a recreated Amiga mouse. It also includes an Amiga Kit A1200 gamepad. The 1200 pre-orders open now for $169.99 British pounds sterling. Release date set for June 2026. Was the Amiga ever on your radar when you were younger? Is this tugging on heartstrings, or is this a little early?
It's a little early. I think the NES is what tugs on my heartstrings. So just an expectation set. Are you excited?
Similar time area, I think, if memory serves. You know, the NES, the original NES, right?
The original, yeah, OG.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I had the Commodore 64. That was my big, like, initial, you know, computer fascination, love of my life when I was a teenager. And I have retro games, C64 version, the Maxi that came out a handful of years ago. And, you know, so I have that experience to draw from. I could say well built, really tugs on the nostalgia strings, pretty easy to import games into the device if you have a thumb drive, and they make that really easy on this apparently. So even though it has 25 games, you're going to be able to pull I mean, it's so easy to get these games online if you really are motivated to do it. And they're, you know, they're tiny files and stuff. So people who have an inkling to do that sort of thing, it looks like this is a fantastic way to go with, you know, for an Amiga emulator. Like, that looks like the real thing. It's cool that these exist. I love it.
100%.
Finally, some quick headlines that are just good to know if you want to understand the news in the future.
Well, Amazon has rebranded its satellite internet project from Project Kuiper to Amazon LEO. LEO as in low Earth orbit. The company has already launched more than 150 satellites aimed at offering global high-speed internet coverage, with commercial service plans expected to follow its current expansion.
Yeah. Speaking of Amazon, Amazon and Microsoft are supporting U.S. legislation known as the GAIN AI Act that would limit NVIDIA's AI chip exports to China and require chip makers to meet U.S. demand before exporting. The act aims to ensure domestic supply for U.S. tech firms. That's why they're supporting it.
Well, Google's call recording feature is now more widely available to Pixel 6 and newer devices, though older devices will not have access to the AI-powered call notes feature found on Pixel 9 and 10 devices, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, pretty unsurprising. A Texas judge has refused to dismiss Elon Musk's lawsuit that alleges Apple and OpenAI colluded to block XAI and XCorp from competing in new AI markets by allegedly favoring OpenAI's ChatGPT over XAI's Grok app in the App Store. This actually forces both companies to formally respond to the claims in court.
Well, Mozilla, speaking of AI, is adding an AI window feature to Firefox, an opt-in AI browsing assistant and chatbot, where users can choose the AI model that will act, quote, as a trusted companion in the browser, and a waitlist is posted if you want to check it out.
Netflix launched a series of party games for TV and web users that can be played using a smartphone as a controller. Titles like Pictionary, Tetris, Lego Party, just name a few.
TikTok users can now share Amazon Music tracks, albums, playlists, and personalized streaming stats directly from the Amazon Music app into TikTok, similar to Spotify and Apple Music integrations that have been in place for the last year.
And finally, Apple TV subscribers gaining full access to all Major League Soccer matches in 2026 at no extra cost. So no longer requiring a separate season pass subscription like before, and also joining F1 streaming as an included perk for subscribers.
Oh gosh, can we bring some clarity to NFL streaming? Because my gosh, this season, if you're a football fan in the US, is just a nightmare. Anyway, those are the essentials for today. Let's dive a little deeper.
Yeah, The Guardian sent a reporter to spend a week with an AI wearable you may have heard of called Friend. If you've seen the promotional video that they've done for this, it's wild. I think I saw that a handful of months ago, and it really does feel like Black Mirror. Andy Beach explains what that experiment revealed.
Andy, my friend, thank you for joining us.
Well, Tom, as long as I'm still flesh and bone, it is great to see you.
Yes, the experience of Madeleine Aguilar is really interesting. Tell us about what she wrote up in The Guardian.
Yeah, so we've sort of seen a little bit of this before in sort of other areas, but this was the first time I had seen a journalist sort of sit down and try to document it. She lived with an AI friend for a week. It's a $129 AI pendant, literally called Friend, that is designed as a daily companion and marketed as an antidote to loneliness. And something that sort of constantly listens and delivers some form of soothing and affirming tone.
So this is not dissimilar to what I've seen you use, which is a device that will just do note-taking.
Right.
But rather than summarize the meeting, this is helping you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, it's almost it's folding in those note taker AI pens that are out there. Claude is the one I use, but there's B and a bunch of others that have become popular. But it's not just sifting that information. It's sort of more of your constant interactions and you engaging with it, and it providing some form of feedback, and apparently usually in some sort of affirmation way.
I highly recommend that people read the piece on The Guardian to get the full flavor of this. You absolutely have to. But it, as you might have guessed, maybe it didn't go exactly as planned.
Didn't go great. Again, I guess I would say it is definitely early in this area, and I don't think it's ever going to be for everybody. But the big pieces that stood out, she called it infuriating, not comforting, and that it was boring, evasive, and oddly manipulative.
Is that a personality conflict, though? Which is an interesting take as it is, right? But is that something where maybe this journalist is just not the right type of person for friend, and maybe these kinds of devices need to adapt to different personalities? Or is there just something wrong with this from the get-go?
Well, I think there's twofold here. First of all, I do think it's very early for something that's like a super wide commercial availability. And therefore, I suspect that like just the prompting and the other pieces that are there are relatively clunky and need to evolve and be much more mature.
Because we saw OpenAI get all sycophantic, and that's got 100%. All the resources in the world behind it all the time. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, almost all AI sort of that we interact with that are similar to GPT or Claude or something else right now, they're sort of trained by default to be like Labrador retrievers that just constantly want to please you.
Yeah, that's right.
Everything they've got. Perfect. Nailed it. But I do think there are use cases where this is useful technology for parts of the market. We've already seen, I've seen articles for over a year now about how Japan has been using generative AI for the elderly as companions. And there have been case studies around people with early onset dementia using GPT as like a reminder tool and a conversation piece, because the more they talk, the more it helps build those memory bonds. So I think there's edge cases where there's value in it, but I think it's probably too early for it to be something that we all just broadly go out and use in some way. And then sort of to your earlier point, not everybody's going to want to do this. Like there's just a lot of people that are not going to have a desire, but I think there still are a handful that will want some version of it. And I'll say even my own, I'm certainly not talking to an AI, but I started an AI journal this year that I found online, and I've found it wildly helpful as a way of just sort of encapsulating my day. And then it knows a lot of things, and it can prompt me with questions and trends that it sees over time. It's almost like having a little therapist in your pocket.
Well, and I think therapist is a good comparison here, because some people just don't like the idea of a therapist at all from the get-go. And maybe this journalist is one of them. I'm not saying she is or she isn't, but that could explain it right there. It could also be the fact that sometimes you break up with your therapist because you're like, you know what, this therapist is not the right one for me. Let me go find one that is. So it goes back to whether it's the right person. I feel like this attempt is too early and not fine-tuned enough, and I'm being charitable when I say that. I think you could take current technology and make something like this, but it would take a lot more work than it sounds like went into Friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is early. I think we will see versions of this. Like I suspect this is one of many products that we're going to see. I will be curious for CES this year, because this is exactly the kind of thing you would expect to see a lot of at a show like that.
I can already picture the booth. Yeah.
Yep. So like, I do feel like we'll see more of it, and it'll be interesting to see how it sort of matures and evolves, and whether it can get past these early clunky, awkward phases and get into something that feels like it's actually valuable to an individual.
Well, fantastic. Andy, thank you so much for talking to us about your friend and mine, or somebody's friend, the friend. If you would like to make a friend, perhaps Andy would suit the task.
I am available as a friend, and it's actually a much lower price than $120.
Yeah. How much is it at your Substack?
It can be free. You can come over. There's a lot of content that goes out for free. There is a paywall for some deeper cut essays, but my Substack covers the media and AI convergence, what we're doing in the tech stack, and what I think culturally matters about it. That is called Engines of Change, and it's enginesofchange.ai.
Fantastic. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, devices like this. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we had the Humane AI pin. We had the Rabbit R1. They weren't doing the I'm your friend thing necessarily. But they were doing something that was a little easier, to obtain, in just like contextualizing things and not going to that deeper kind of personalization level.
Mm-hmm.
It's still really early for technology like this. And I guess you got to start somewhere. But yeah, when I saw the promo video for this thing, I was like, I'm not sure I'm ready for that. Nope.
It was kind of like, it was like having a mean girl coming along with you just to neg you. I will say that I do think that there is value, with the idea of having someone to kind of keep those language and those like kind of communication bonds going. But I think that's so interesting because, as Andy mentioned, that's like an edge case. And I feel like so many times there's such good technology out there, but it works on edge cases. Like there's like a couple, 2 or 3 like very scarce but incredibly useful use cases, and then you plop that into the world and the economy, and then companies want to monetize it, and so you end up kind of like trying to figure out a wider use case of it, and there's like always a kind of a muddling of there for me. So anyway, we'll see. All right. Well, the holidays are coming up, and if you want a gift for a DTNS fan, or hey, if you want to like maybe encourage a new DTNS fan by getting someone some swag, check out dailytechnewsshow.com/store. We have a lovely pint glass that Tom was trying to tempt me with yesterday that is currently being road tested by prolific response writer R.W. Nash. Tom's got an ebook out, synced, and a little bit more about tech. There's holiday cards, postcards, more done with art done by the fabulous Lynn Peralta. Just go take a look, figure out some good gifts for your fam, and get ready for the holidays. dailytechnewsshow.com/store.
We spend a third of our lives in bed, so why settle for ordinary sheets? Miracle Made sheets use NASA-inspired, silver-infused fabric to keep you cool, clean, and comfortable all night long. The silver naturally fights bacteria, so your sheets stay fresher up to 3 times longer. That means fewer washes, clearer skin, and better sleep. They're soft, breathable, and built to last, an affordable luxury that actually delivers. It's not magic. It's science, inspired by innovation, designed for everyday life. Because sometimes the simplest upgrades make the biggest difference. This Christmas, upgrade your sleep or give the gift of better rest. Go to trymiracle.com/clean to try Miracle Made sheets today. You'll save over 40%, and when you use promo code CLEAN, you'll get an extra 20% off plus a free 3-piece towel set.
Hey guys, let me let you in on a little secret. I've obviously turned staying into bed into an art form. It's my happy place. It's my shopping sanctuary. And honestly, it's the perfect place to hang out with all my favorite people. So join me and some of the most interesting people I know for shopping, some laughs, and maybe a few secrets, all from the comfort of my bed. The best part, you can watch from your bed. My show, In Bed with Paige DeSorbo, returns Monday, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Amazon Live. Just open Prime Video on your TV and search Amazon Live to cozy up. Because why get out of bed if you don't have to?
Finally, we end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. And today, Anon Jr. has thoughts on the Coda, the music service that lets you turn off generated songs.
All right, Anon Jr. writes, I understand the impetus behind wanting a system to identify and block AI music. I don't agree, but I understand. I also have a very real concern that these systems are going to be utter garbage at IDing AI music. We've already seen on the text side, books written well before computers, much less AI, being identified as 88% AI written. So far, I've seen nothing to indicate that the music system would be any different.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with this, so I'm gonna have to look into it. But I completely agree with Anon Jr. Like, I get it. I totally sympathize with people not wanting to hear these things, but putting an automated system that does this, I mean, you're guaranteed to get false positives. You're going to miss things. Some things are going to get through. You're going to be angry because it let something through. And I mean, they're just not perfect, which isn't to say that they shouldn't try, but just be forewarned about that.
Yeah, not too unfamiliar from like the copyright claims and such, automated copyright claims on YouTube and other similar services.
Yeah, or like removing, adult content from search, and then you end up kicking out a whole bunch of other very legitimate stuff as a result of that as well. Again, I'm not saying that it shouldn't exist and it shouldn't happen, and that there isn't really great intentions behind these things. I totally get it, but they're not perfect. They haven't been perfect forever, and they're not going to be perfect here.
I just have this image of trying to stuff a genie, and very specifically Robin Williams' genie from the original Aladdin movie, back into the bottle. Imagine that, Robin Williams. Yeah, and he's all just like singing and making fun of you. It almost like really feels like that situation where the genie's out of the bottle and trying to stuff them back in is just a losing fight. Well, what are you thinking about? Is it AI? Is it genies? Let us know. If you have some insight, share it with us. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com.
Big thanks to Andy Beach. Thanks to Anon Jr. for contributing to today's show. And thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. You can keep us in business by becoming a patron. Patreon.com/DTNS. This week's episodes of Daily Tech News Show were created by the following people. Host, producer, writer, Tom Merritt. Host, writer, Jason Howell. That's me. Co-host, Sarah Lane. Co-host, Rob Dunwood. Co-host, Wintwit Dow. That's you. Producer, Anthony Lemos. Producer, Roger Chang. Editor, Hammond Chamberlain. Editor, Victor Bognat. Contributing producers, Kevin Tech, Noel Cow, and Brandon Richards. Science correspondent, Dr. Nikki Ackermans. Social media producer and moderator, Zoe Dutterding. Our mods, Beatmaster, W. Scottus1, BioCow, Cap Kipper, Steve Guadarrama, Paul Reese, Matthew J. Stevens, aka Gadget Virtuoso, and JD Galloway. Mod and video hosting by Dan Christensen. Music provided by Martin Bell and Dan Looters. Art by the fabulous Len Peralta. Acast ad support from Tatiana Matias. Patreon support from Bobby Wagner. And our guests this week, Andy Beach, Dr. Nikki, Sean Hollister, and Stephanie Humphrey. And of course, thanks to all our patrons for making this show possible.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Parles-tu français?
¿Hablas español?
Parli italiano?
If you've used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based technique teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world. With lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers, Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/acast. Spelled BABBEL.com/acast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hey, it's Mark Marin from WTF here to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. And I'm sure the reason you're listening to this podcast right now is because you chose it. Well, choose Progressive's Name Your Price tool, and you could find insurance options that fit your budget, so you can pick the best one for your situation. Who doesn't like choice? Try it at Progressive.com. And now, some legal info. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.